Hey you guys, Kendall here. I am in episode 3 of Ask Me Anything, and last week I got a really great question from Erin, and let me go ahead and read it to you. It says, how do I determine how much weight to lift when I'm trying to get back into it after gaining some weight and losing muscle? I don't want to start back with what I was doing before when I was training regularly and had muscle, and then sustain an injury or have a setback from pushing too hard, which is a really great question because a lot of people don't really know where to start, especially if they're coming off of an injury or they're coming off of maybe some deconditioning time. And so a lot of people just don't know because they're not at the standard where they were when they left exercise. And so usually what I suggest to people, if I'm not working with them personally one-on-one, is pick a weight, and it's going to depend on what exercise that you're doing, but I generally say pick a weight that you can do anywhere from 10 to 12 repetitions. And on that 12th repetition, you should be struggling. You should be struggling to either do your 12th rep of your squat, your 12th rep of your bicep curl, your 12th rep of your shoulder press. It should be a struggle. So the last one should almost be to failure every single time. You don't want to do 12 reps of something that you can easily move around, that you can easily throw around the weight. You want it to be a struggle and you want it to be a challenge. And once you get to a point where you're at number 12 and it starts to get a little bit easier, that's when you know that you can increase the weight a little bit safely because your muscles have adapted, you've recovered, you've had a lot of stimulus for muscle growth, and you're stronger. And so that's one way that you can kind of gauge your progress is thinking about that last rep, thinking about how strong you are in that last rep. And when it starts to get easy, that's when you can increase the weight. Now, it really depends on what kind of training that you're doing. If you're doing a traditional and standard strength training program where you're doing a lot of rest, you're doing really standard squats, chest press, shoulder press, bicep curl, and you're doing a lot of resting, you can get away with doing a little bit heavier of weights and maybe decreasing the reps to about 8 to 10. But I would really recommend sticking to that 10 to 12 rep range and maybe decreasing your rest just a little bit. Now, if you're doing anything that's high intensity like CrossFit or metabolic conditioning type of stuff where you're actually increasing volume and decreasing time, that's where we're actually increasing the amount of work that you're doing. So therefore, you're decreasing the rest, so you're increasing the work. You have to decrease the weight of the weights that you're using. So if you would normally do a 25-pound shoulder press when you're doing a standard weightlifting program, but you're doing a metabolic conditioning circuit that is a 10-minute shoulder blasting building workout, I would suggest probably going to 15 pounds because you're going to get fatigued more quickly, you're actually doing more volume, more density, and you're going to need to rest a lot more. So if you're doing anything that's high in volume, high in density, and high in intensity, I would actually suggest decreasing the weights from what you normally do. But if you're doing a traditional strength training program, you can get away with lifting a little bit heavier of weights. But like I said, overall, the way that I would go about approaching it is try to find that weight that you are struggling to do on your 12th rep. And that's usually the weight range that is a very safe and realistic weight for you to be lifting, especially if you're trying to increase muscle growth and increase fat loss as well. So those are my suggestions for you, Erin. I hope this helps you out, and I will see you guys next time on Ask Me Anything.